Hey everybody, it's Jared with Big Wheel Motorsports here. Let's see, have I told you guys how much I love Friday night racing? It's fantastic. This last Friday night we raced at Moeller Raceway, which is the first time I'd been there to race. I've actually gone there to watch races before from the stands. But we raced Friday night, took a half day off work, came home. I really didn't get anything done in the car last week, so I'm glad that I didn't need to be to the track until 4 o'clock, and it was only an hour away from my house. So I got home, I changed the gear, so I did decide to change to a 330 gear. And then I washed the car and loaded it up and got everything ready to go, and got to the track, and it was fantastic. The weather was great. The race night was pretty good. The track took me a little bit to get used to. A little rough, smaller. I think it was more like a quarter mile. Semi-banked, semi-medium high banked, and rough, if I haven't already said that. But it was great. So we went out in hot laps and didn't really learn a whole lot. Then when we came back from hot laps, I found out that there was a schedule change, a good schedule change, and that is that we have added heat races. So that race was supposed to be the makeup race for the Hillbilly 100 race, night race that got fogged out. And that had already had pill draw done, and it was just supposed to be hot laps and then a 20-lap feature. Well, I don't know if Moeller made a mistake or if they wanted to add more racing. Either way, I thought it was fantastic, so they added heat races into there. So we ended up redoing pill draw, starting heat races, running heat races, and then running the 20-lap feature. So I ran the hot laps, didn't really learn a whole lot, was just trying to get the feel for the track. And I was struggling. I kind of didn't have a very good feel of it. For my heat race, I started fourth, and in hindsight, I was running way too low. I was trying to hook the bottom, and I don't know what was going on down there. I just wasn't working well. I ended up finishing sixth. Looking back at it, talking to some other people, I was running way too low. Even for a low line there, I was running too low. So I had to change my strategy around a little bit. The car also was really tight, so I ended up loosening the front end by half a round, and then went out for the feature race. So because of my 6th place finish in the heat race, I started the feature 11th out of 18 cars. Frustrating for me. I'm always putting myself in these holes. Putting myself in these holes. So I started 11th and was running a higher line, and I actually was doing great. Passed several cars. I think one car wrecked out with a pretty bad wreck. And I ended up getting my way all the way up to 5th and was side by side with 5th. Now 5th place was running the line that I wanted to run, so I couldn't run that higher line. I had to run a lower line, and I probably went a little bit too low again, and I was side by side with 5th place, or with 4th place. I'm sorry, this guy was 4th place. So we were racing for 4th place. I was in 5th, side by side, coming off of turn 4, and I damn near almost loop it. Get it really too far sideways, had to lift all the way out of the gas, catch it. I'm like kind of driving through the infield a little bit and then pulling back out. Luckily I didn't lose it, but I ended up losing 3's position. So I went from 5th place back to 8th place. 3 cars had passed me. Literally like 1 lap later, there was a caution for a couple of cars that got together. So I was frustrated, but I was probably fairly fortunate that that caution came out right then. Obviously, if it would have come out a half a lap sooner, I would have been happier, because I probably would have been able to keep my spots. But either way, that was maybe lap 12 to 14. So I was doing pretty good, and for some reason, On the restarting 8th, my car felt horrible. It was tight as hell. It felt like I was pushing a dump truck. I don't know if I was overdriving the car and causing it to do that, or if something had changed, whether the tires got cooler or warmer or whatever. I don't know. But the car totally changed. It got really, really tight and got really hard to drive. Kind of really frustrating. I did end up passing one car to get from 8th to 7th, and then was in a 3-way battle for 5th, coming to the checkered flag, and I actually got 6th, so I passed another car coming to the checkered flag. So I almost got back up to where I was at in 5th, but ended up 6th. So all in all, not bad. Fun track, really rough. There were several times when I hit a rut or hit a bump, and it was like, man, I thought I was gonna lose it. But that's kind of the fun. I mean, you're right on the edge, and you're catching it all the time, and it's always fun, obviously, when you're passing cars and making progress. So I had a great time. I wish I wouldn't have screwed up, because I'm pretty sure I could have gotten 4th place, and then who knows, maybe I could have even challenged for a top 3 position there. But congratulations to Steve Parton. He won. I think that was his first win of the year, so that was fantastic. So either way, so I packed everything up and came home happy. So one of the reasons why I love Friday night races is not only the fact that I take a half day off work so that I can go, which is always fun, but Saturday morning I wake up and I unload the trailer, and I've got all Saturday to work on the car and do whatever I want, and I can still chill out and relax and veg out on Sunday, which is my favorite thing to do on Sundays. So Saturday morning I unloaded the trailer, got the car out, washed it, got everything cleaned up, brought it into the garage, changed the gear for next week's race, and made some setup adjustments, and then changed the oil. So I got all of the work done on the car on Saturday, and then I was like, screw it. I loaded the car back up into the trailer, and I have everything loaded up. So essentially all I have to do this coming Saturday is put my cooler in the trailer and hook up my truck, and I'm out of here. So to me, that's fantastic. So I got all that done by like 5 o'clock on Saturday, and was able to chill out and then watch my team lose in a valiant effort to Penn State. But either way, that's here nor there. So it was fantastic. I got some work done on the Model A, got it running, and actually took it out for a drive a couple of times around the block on Saturday too. So it's rides really rough, as you can imagine, but the engine runs pretty good, and got it up to 30, almost 35 miles an hour, but I mean, that's subdivision, so I didn't really want to go too fast. But yeah, so I got that up and running Saturday. It was fantastic. Chilled out all day Sunday, and kind of watched NASCAR and watched other racing, and watched football, and didn't have to worry about cleaning the car or unloading the trailer or anything. So that's why I love Friday night races. So either way, this coming Saturday we have Florence Speedway, which is a big track, probably the biggest track we'll race this year. Although I think the group has raced Florence earlier in the year, I just didn't have my car ready in time. So I think it's a half-mile dirt track. I don't know, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours away, but it should be a blast. I changed the gear to a 358, thinking that at Brush Creek, the 358 it might not be enough gear, but it helps maybe with throttle control. But I think that 358 will be the correct gear for Florence. So that's my plan there. I did loosen the car up a little bit more just going into Florence, just expecting, because I think something on my setup isn't right, and I'm probably just too tight. I probably, if I would have thought about it, maybe checked my rear end squareness. I might actually bring the gauge to the track on Saturday and check it at the track, just to kind of make sure that that's square and that's not causing me to feel more tight than I really am. So that was fantastic. They did have a couple of announcements on Friday night's racing on some schedule changes, and one of them caused quite a bit of controversy. So the first one is, well, let me lay out what our planned schedule is at this point. Planned schedule was Florence this Saturday, then Brush Creek for the final race of the year the Saturday after that. And then I was planning on going to Atlanta Motorsports Park October 21st weekend. And then I had heard there might be a Brush Creek race in November at some point, and I wasn't sure about that one yet. So they have announced that Atomic Speedway has decided to host a Legends race the Friday night before the last Brush Creek race. Not the November one, but the one in October. So that would be a week and a half so from today. Or from this week. It is a non-Ohio Valley Roofers Legends Series race, so it's just Atomic put it on themselves. I was told that when somebody asked them about the rules, they said they're just running whatever rules that they run with the Ohio Valley Roofers Legends. But I'm almost positive they're not going to have anybody doing tech, so who knows what we're going to get there. I'm really hoping that nobody shows up with dirt tires, because if they do, that'll just freaking suck. They did clarify that they were expecting us to be running Federals, but I'm not sure that they're going to have anybody actually checking. So it might be having to be a self-policed thing by all of us Legends drivers. So that's now I'm planning on going to that race. So that's next Friday, not this coming Friday. And then the Brush Creek race will be the very next day. And then they have announced that, and here's the controversial part, the Ohio Valley Roofers Legends Championship deciding race, and the way they do this, it's kind of like the NASCAR Chase thing, where the last four, or the top four drivers going into the last race of the year get all made even, and then whoever finishes highest out of those four cars wins the championship. So that last Brush Creek race was scheduled to be the last race of the year, and that was scheduled to be the championship race. The promoters have announced that we will now be running alongside the Dirt Track World Championships at Portsmouth on October 20th. And that's a big race. I looked it up, and it might be the biggest late model race of the year. $100,000 to win. You can bet all the big rigs and all the big money's going to be there. And they've added us as part of Friday night. And what's cool is that Friday night, all of Friday, only late models are running, and then they're throwing Legends in there too. So I'm hoping we're going to get hot laps, heat races, and a feature race, but we'll see. And the other cool thing is they've only limited it to 20 Legend cars to show up. So you have to be in the top 20 in points in order to show up for that race. But either way, the promoters have said that that is now the championship deciding race. So it's the top four drivers going into that race that are going to decide who wins the championship. And there was several disgruntled guys in the top four currently that were upset by that. And the reality is I can understand it. I can see it both ways. If I was in the top four, I might be a little bit upset. I plan my entire summer around the racing schedules, or plan my racing schedules around family vacations and all that kind of stuff. If I would be in the top four and I already had some sort of family vacation planned that weekend of October 20th, I would be upset because it would mean that I would have to change my plans and whatever that is, family plans or whatever. I'd have to change those plans in order to actually compete for the championship. And I may have had those plans scheduled for 6 months. Who knows, right? So I can see people being upset about that. But at the same time, I can also see the promoters' point here. They've been trying to get the Legend cars on that program at the Dirt Track World Championships for years. And they want that to be a big race for us. They want us to put on the best race because they want to, showcase us in front of thousands of fans. And so they wanted to make that a big deal. And there's probably a chance that if it's just a kind of an ad hoc race that doesn't mean anything, that they might not get as many people to show up, or they might not get as good a racing because, you know, people don't have as much on the line, I guess. I don't know. So I can see both sides of it. The reality is that the promoters made that decision, and it is what it is, and everybody will just have to go with that and kind of suck it up, I guess, you know, even if they're not happy about it. I would think that if they had anything already planned family event wise, that maybe the promoters would take that into account, but I don't know if anybody does. So either way, so that was the other big announcement, was the Portsmouth race at the Dirt Track World Championships, which unfortunately puts me in a pickle. So I was planning on racing at the Atlanta Motorsports Park road course that same weekend. Be my first road course race ever. I was really looking forward to that all year long, but at the same time, you know, I really like racing when there's a ton of fans around. I really like it when it's a great atmosphere. So here's my decision. Well, here's my deciding factors. I can go drive 7.5 hours down to Atlanta Motorsports Park, rent a hotel. I think I'll have to have a hotel for 2 nights. Figure out how to get a road course setup on my car, run the road course, which I think would be a blast. There probably won't be any fans there because it's probably more like club racing style. And then come back on Sunday, 7.5 hours back. Or I can drive 2 hours to Portsmouth for the Dirt Track World Championships on a Friday night with tons of fans. My car's already set up and currently already geared for that track. Don't have to stay in a hotel. Don't have to change anything on the car. So, and you can kind of see which way I'm leaning right here, and it's kind of hard because literally I was planning for probably most of the year to actually go to that road course, or to go to one of either the Dominion race or the Atlanta Motorsports Park race that weekend. So luckily I don't have to decide yet. You can tell which way I'm leaning, but we'll have to see. So I'll let you guys know once I get it figured out. So either way, so what we got coming up, we got Florence this weekend. Should be a blast. Weather looks like it's going to be good. It's been hot all week, and looks like it's going to be fairly cool on Saturday. Might actually bring my jet change kit for my carbs, and if it gets cool enough, I might actually change my jets prior to the feature race. We'll see. That might be a bit ambitious for me, but then the following weekend, we're going to attempt to do Atomic on Friday night and Brush Creek on Saturday night. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, it was nothing for us to do a Friday night race and a Saturday night race back to back. So this will be the first time in several years. I think it'll be fun. I don't have to really change anything. I'll probably change my oil filter in between those 2 races and maybe wash the car, although chances are I'm probably going to be too lazy to wash the car. It'll kind of depend on how messy it is at Atomic. And then after that, I'm up in the air. I'm up in the air about the October 20th, 21st weekend. Portsmouth Raceway with the Dirt Track World Championships, or road courses down in Atlanta. So we'll see. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm pretty sure most of the dirt guys want me to race there, and I know there's a couple of people on the road course side that want me to come down there. I don't know. Having never been to either track will be new to me. So we'll see how that shakes out. But either way, that's the plan. If you have any questions or anything, just let me know down below. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page, Big Mill Motorsports. It's facebook.com/Big Mill Motorsports. We also have a Twitter feed at Big Mill Racing, and check us out there. I do post some pictures, not a ton, but like race day progress I post on there, and I do post some pictures throughout the week if I'm working on the car or whatever's going on. So, all right, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you, and have a good night.